Alright guys, well things have calmed down a little bit now since early this morning and this afternoon. I've been able to get my priorities in order, have a couple of cups of tea, just kind of soak in some of the surroundings. Hopefully you can hear me okay on the microphone. It's very noisy with the wake from the boats. The weather has improved, therefore we've got jet skis, boats, sailboats, everything, you name it, has been out. Aeroplanes, yeah, it's all been going on. I wanted to take a few minutes out and go over the rig I've been using on this session, as well as the bait, how I'm tying it up, and also show you guys the method in which I use to tie this rig. So as always, with most of my rigs, I start out using the PB Products jelly wire. This is the weed green in 25-pound breaking strain. And this will cover you for almost every situation that you can think of. It's very durable, it's very strong. It's a strippable braid, so it has a coating on it, which then makes it a little bit more flexible. You can present it over a number of surfaces. Luckily enough, I'm fishing over a nice sandy gravel bottom, so this stuff presents perfectly over it. Color, it really doesn't make a difference because I've been using it in both the weedy green and the sandy one, and it really doesn't bother the fish here in the US. They're not pressured at all. They're wild grown fish. There's definitely no angling pressure on these fish whatsoever. So with that in mind, it really doesn't make a difference. I've been using Cortex as well on a number of occasions, but this is my go-to. It's definitely something that I will favor over most hook link materials. So I'm using that. For the hook link material, I'm using the Angling Iron Range curved shanks, just because you can see them there. The light's a little funny here right now. Just because they're an absolute brute of a hook. The wire gauge on them is fantastic, and they're super, super strong and durable. So these are a size 2. They do a 4 in them as well, and a 6, but the size 2 is just such a solid hook. And I've been getting into some big fish, so it's better to be safe than sorry and be undergunned and lose a fish or a hook pull or something like that. So these really do the job. Now, the point on them is super sharp, so there is the chance that it will round over after a fish. Normally I'll hone these up a little bit more with a file and a stone, and you get a little bit more life out of one of them. But anyway, I'm going to get into the meat and potatoes of this and tie it up for you guys to show you how it's done. So it may seem like a lot, but I actually use 12 inches of this material. The reason I do that is because I like to have a little bit more distance between the bait and the lead, okay? And now what does this allows me to have a little bit more confidence, knowing that if the fish was to shake its head against where the lead would be, right, the fish has got less chance of using the weight of the lead to eject the hook, whereas if it was shorter, the lead is therefore closer, therefore when it shakes it's got more chance of being able to eject the hook out. So I have a little bit of a longer hook link, which is quite a bit longer actually, because most rigs are normally between 6 to 8 inches. So this, I start about 12 inches of hook link material. Once I've got that done, I snip that off. I'm going to strip off about I don't know, let's start with 4 inches. There we go. So you got your material there stripped. Just like with any hair rig, you're going to tie a little loop on the end of it, and basically this is what you're going to attach your bait to. And I will attach my bait first, and doing so gives me the drop that I need on 2 20mm baits. So baits I've got here, I'll select a couple that are to my liking. There we go, 2 20s. So pop them on my baiting needle. And then I've been using these bait stops from Ridge Monkey. They're great, they're super cheap, and you get a boatload of them for a very little price. And they're great because they've got a little curve to them, and once you flip it over, they actually hug the contour of the bait very well. I don't know if you can even see that on the camera there. You might be able to, yeah, there you go, just about the contour of the bait. And I like those, and they hold up really well. So that's it. So there's your 2 baits mounted on the length of hook link material. Okay, so next up obviously it's going to be our hook. So through the back of the eye, just like a regular hair rig. Now I give a little bit of a drop, or at least I have been, like so. All right, so as you can see there's a little bit of a gap, maybe 4 or 5 mil between the curve, the bottom of the curve of the hook where the shank is, and the bait itself. So I'm doing 6 turns down, and then 1 back up through the back of the eye, coming out the front. And that's your knot, that's knot. So that right there, it's pretty much your rig done. Very simple, no frills, very easy. The bait itself it moves a lot, so it gives a lot of movement, and I don't mind that bait on the top moves. I'm okay with that. Nothing wrong with that rig whatsoever. Very simple and gives an extremely deep hook hold as well. So the fish takes this in. As the fish takes it in, obviously as it goes to spit it out, the hook takes hold and the bait comes out, leaving you attached to the fish. Man, ooh, these hooks are bloody sharp. So following that, as always, go figure. And we're away. Oh man, jeez. Now there's a snag out there, and that line would normally be off for that by now. So yeah, see, there's definitely a fish on it. Ugh. Sometimes a little bit more pressure will help pop it out of the weed. And the fish is moving, there's no doubt about it. All right. No. Oh well. You win some, and you definitely lose some. Where was I? Rig tying, right? Yeah, that was unfortunate. There is a snag out there. It's definitely been giving me some problems during the session. Not much I can do about it. It's just unfortunate. You never know what those fish are. You never see them. I always like to think that they're not that big, but you just never know. Anyway, back to the rig. There it is, 220 mils Pinex. As I mentioned, I had Lorenzo roll these over at Carp USA. And it's pineapple and Scopex blend. And there you go, I finished that rig up with a very simple loop. I'm using a quick change swivel on the inline setup that I'm using, so that way it's nice and quick, no faffing about. I can just literally take a rig once it's tied up, hook it on, and I'm done. Right, so there you have it. That is the rig part of it done. That's the basis of it. Very simple, anyone can tie it. It's literally just a regular old hair rig. It's nothing special, nice and easy, and these curves are very aggressive. They take hold extremely well, leaving you with a fantastic hook hold in the fish as well. So next up, you're going to want a quarter crusher or something that can basically give you or create boilie crumb for you. Now for the 20 mils, I take 4 20 mils, pop them in there like so, like that, slap the old lid on, give it a really good grind up, like that. There's that, boilie crumb. Some of the lumps in there are a little bit bigger, some of it's almost powder and very fine dust. And then with that, we take some PVA. Now this is just PVA mesh. So this is a narrow PVA mesh. I shake it into the tube, tap it all out in there. And it may look like a lot, but it fills the tube up that much. You see? You can see it in there. What you're going to do is now, you're going to use the compressor tool and you're going to basically crack it down. But I used a little cap that come with it. I put the tube onto it so it's flat. Then I use the plunger basically to squash it all down. And then what I do is I hold the PVA and I push it out. So it's nice and tight. It's not loose or anything like that. And then I've got a little bit of free play there, so I'll give it a twist. And that keeps the form and the shape of it. I'll pull off a little excess, do a little overhand knot. And that is it done. So now I snip that off. Now for me personally, don't forget, tie a knot on the end of your PVA, so you're ready to go for your next one. And obviously I'm fishing very close to the water, so I want to keep this as dry as I possibly can, so it's back in the tube every single time with that. So next up is a stringer needle. This is the PB Products one. It's a longer needle with a gate on it. And it also actually has this little tool on the bottom that allows you to strip, which is very handy. So you can strip off the coating from your hook link. That's what I'll do with it. So it goes straight onto the bait needle like that. Makes it a heck of a lot easier, because what I like to do, just to mask the hook point, so that the hook point isn't getting burled up by any rocks as it's going down or anything like that. I take the hook, like so. What I do is I'll give it a twist, and as I'm twisting it on, the eye of the hook will pop just inside it, and then what I'll do is I'll just slowly snug that right up into the PVA. So your hook is actually inside the stick. See that like that? There you go. So when you cast out, this is going to settle on the bottom. The PVA will obviously dissolve around the hook baits and the hook, and then obviously as the fish move in, they pick up the bait. In turn, they get nailed.